So I went into the movie Cowboys and Aliens with pretty damn high expectations. I've been waiting for this movie for a really, really long time. Since I saw the first trailer, man, I don't even remember when it was. I want to say it was like a year ago, but I feel like it wasn't that long. But I've been waiting forever for this movie, and of all the movies to be released this summer and so far this year, this is the one I was excited for. More than Super 8, more than all the superhero movies, more than all of the big dramas that I was looking forward to, which I can't really name because maybe there weren't actually any. But I've been waiting for this for a really long time. My expectations because of that have been really high. And going into Cowboys and Aliens, I had the only thing I really expected that I knew I was going to get, or that I was going to get, were some cool characters, a decent story, and some kick-ass action scenes. And I got all that. But what surprised me is that that's not what I liked the most about this movie. What I actually liked the most about this was the overall writing and the believability of it. And I'm not saying believability in terms of aliens fighting cowboys, because that's not so believable. I mean the characters and and each actor's portrayal of his character was very believable. And each character was very cool. And likable in a badass kind of way. But at the same time, they're also likable because at least I genuinely cared about them. This especially goes for Harrison Ford's character, who gets a shocking amount of development out throughout the entire movie. I mean, in the beginning, he's this hard ass who has a deadbeat son, and it's established that this son is a disappointment to him. And he's he doesn't like his son. He cares for him and he wants him to be safe and he definitely loves him, but it's hard for him to show that because the son has grown up to be this kind of drunken hooligan who goes around shooting at bars because his father is was a colonel in the war, the Mexican American War or something, and because of his father's status, the son can just go around and do whatever he wants, or at least he thinks he can. And in the beginning, Harrison Ford is just this hard ass who he's disappointed in his son. But throughout the movie and by the end of it, you realize that more than anything, throughout all of his hardships, throughout losing 238 men under his command in the war, the only thing he's ever really wanted was to be a father to a son that he could be proud of. And by the end of the movie, I felt so bad for him. I actually teared up and I cried at the end of the movie. And I won't give it away, but there's a scene where you really see this character, Harrison Ford's character, reveal that he just wants to be a father figure. That's all he's ever wanted. And when it finally comes out, it's a very convincing, sad, and emotional performance. And I just really love that about this movie. And you get that from more so Harrison Ford than anyone else, but you actually get we got a surprisingly great cast for this. There was a Noah Ringer who played Aang in Airbender, and I mean, I know that's not a good thing to go off of because the movie was shit, but he's pretty good in this. I can't remember his name. There's the kid who played Eli in There Will Be Blood, and he plays the son of Harrison Ford, and he also does a great job. Daniel Craig is awesome. Harrison Ford is awesome, and this movie has such a large cast of characters, which is something else that surprised me. I mean, it just seems like it would just be kind of Daniel Craig on his own fighting aliens. But the movie, and IGN's review of this movie, I think, put it best, that this is a Western, for sure. This is just a Western with aliens in it. It's not so much an cowboys and aliens. It's just a Western with aliens. And 20 minutes into the film, around the 20-minute mark is when we finally see the aliens attack for the first time. And up until that point, I was actually, there's not a lot of sci-fi. It's all just Western up until the aliens invade. There's hardly any science fiction on this. It's just this story of this weird, strange man who walks into a town, he can't remember anything, and just him trying to get by. And honestly, if the movie had kept going on that path with Daniel Craig being this mysterious cowboy, I would have been fine with that, even if the aliens never showed up, because the Western portrayal of this was so awesome, so well done. Every part of it was very convincing. Every character, every line of dialogue. I really felt like these characters really invest themselves into kind of the old feel of the old spaghetti westerns, where I mean, for today's standards, the dialogue is kind of cheesy, I admit, but for me, it was in a really likable way because, um, man, these were cowboys. I mean, we haven't seen cowboys like this since the old, Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I mean, these aren't some. Daniel Craig is not some gorgeous British man who is thrown into this movie and looks super awesome like James Bond. No, I mean, he gets dirty, he gets cut up. Every character in this movie is kind of disgustingly dirty the whole time, and they really feel like cowboys. They feel very believable as their characters. So that's my first word out of my 5 words, is believable. Um, and my second word, as I kind of already touched on, is emotional. And I mean, this is surprisingly emotional. You get a lot of great development from Harrison Ford, especially. And a lot of the movie is more about him than Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig he is the drive of this movie. He's the conflict. He is what moves it forward. He's the leader of this group. He's going to fight the aliens and lead them and lead the cowboys into battle. But Harrison Ford is the real character in this, and he does such a great job with that. And it is very emotional, not just for him, but all the other characters. It has a very large cast of people who, there's this group of like 7 or 8 people who go off to try to find the aliens and defeat them before they can leave Earth. And every character in this group, we actually see a lot of them develop. We see a lot of them get to know each other, and by the end of the movie, I really liked all of these characters a lot, and I really cared for them. I was sad when some of them died, and I was really happy when the other ones lived, and they got to have their happy ending. And my third word is cool. And I mean, this is something that's highly important. This movie is just so fucking bad ass. The special effects are top notch. The action scenes, I felt like I haven't seen anything like this ever before. I mean, if you put aliens fighting people in present day, I mean, this movie, if it was people and aliens, it would just be Transformers. But because it's cowboys and aliens, it's obviously such a unique spin on things of the sci-fi western. And for me, that made the action sequences all the more original. It's just trying to, excuse me, watching these cowboys come up with these really unique ways to defeat the aliens, and yeah. And there's a bunch of really awesome fight sequences, both between spaceships and people, and then there's actually a very long, like the last half hour of the movie. Last half hour is just rising action constantly until there's this huge, awesome battle and then a very quick resolution. And that whole rising action, it's actually ground war. The aliens actually come out of their ship, and it's just cowboys and Native Americans teaming up and fighting the aliens like hand to hand. It's awesome. The combat is just so great to watch, so brutal and so violent and so awesome in every way. So, and then onto my two technical terms. The first one, a pretty obvious one, the special effects and the action overall was very satisfying. But my second word, and one that I was not expecting, was the writing. For me, every character in this, every cowboy, every relationship between the cowboys, and then their ultimate relationship with the Native Americans who they team up with, it was very believable, and I just have to really congratulate the writer and obviously Jon Favreau as the director, who uh, masterfully directed his actors to give off such amazing performances in such an idea that, it's a very silly concept, but they made it work so well. And I would say this is easily one of my favorite films, like, of all time since I've seen it. This is exactly my type of movie, which is um, a, a movie that sounds silly when you think about it, like kind of the remake of Star Trek or Casino Royale, just these big blockbuster action movies. But at the same time, in these movies, I really genuinely care about the characters, and that's something that's really important to me. It has to satisfy me visually and have a great story, but I'd say even more importantly, I have to care about the characters. That's the most important thing for me, and I really, really cared about Daniel Craig, Harrison Ford, Noah Ring, and all the other characters in this movie. So hats off to all the actors, Jon Favreau, the screenwriters. This was a massive triumph in my book, and I will definitely be back to watch it countless times in the future.